I'm so fucking weak. My press felt okay. Okay, this was, in case you didn't know, was a max attempt. What the fuck was that? Like 10 seconds and my form was just, I was gonna fall. Okay, okay, I'm gonna, let's sit down and discuss. Okie dokie, boys and girls. So that was, believe it or not, a max attempt of the full planche. And I mean, the warm-up set press felt good. It felt light, like the lightest press I've ever done, but there is just no endurance. And that's a sign of overtraining, you know? Like the fact that I'm getting weaker as time goes on drastically means that my body needs some recovery now. I've been, the last training block, let's talk a bit about the lessons learned, right? And I take the last training block as 50-kilometer run and afterwards, and then basically up until now, right? So what I was doing during the training block, I was focusing on laying out the foundations, right? Getting the basics stronger. So for planche, I was doing the planche press, and for the front lever, I was doing assisted holds, pull-ups, whatever. For Nordic curls, I was doing volume, and for pistol squats, I was basically just squatting over and over and over again, like in one set. Now, on paper, that doesn't sound bad, right? Laying out the foundations, getting the basics up to point. But my mistake was that I took it a bit too far. Like in the beginning, right, the first couple of weeks, it was manageable, I was able to recover. But as time went on, I was increasing intensity on all aspects. And by all aspects, I mean the fucking push, pull, and legs, right? On all aspects, I was going harder and harder and harder, and it was more difficult for me to recover. And by the time I realized this, well, I was already attempting my maximum stuff. The front lever didn't go as planned, and today, well, certainly the full planche didn't go as planned. Now, what I will do going into the future training, like basically the lesson I'm gonna learn from this, is I'm gonna attempt my maximum effort more frequently. Now that sounds a bit weird, right? But I'm talking about my goals, right? I'm gonna attempt the full planche more often. I'm gonna attempt the front lever more often. I'm gonna squat heavy weight more often, and I'm gonna go for max Nordics more often. Or the Nordics, I don't know yet because the Nordics are growing really well. I might just leave it for what it is right there. But when it comes to like max efforts, I'm gonna do it more frequently, but not all the time. Like I will do a separate max effort, like for example, full planche max effort. But during my normal training, I will keep the intensity lower because now what I've been doing is, I've been doing, for example, with the planche presses, I did 7 presses with 2 kilos in one training. And then I went up to 10. That was still fine. Then I went up to 15. That was very hard already. But even though that was very hard already, I went up to 20 right after that, like the next training. And it fucking just destroys your body if you just keep maxing out over and over and over again. And that was my mistake. That's why I'm weaker right now than I was before. Like at some point, 20 seconds might have been possible for me. But then I passed my peak and I just kept hammering away at the fucking body, And that's something I'm really gonna learn. Like more training but less effort is basically what I'm gonna try and aim for. And then regularly do one set effort where I do max out or quite close to maxing out to see where I'm heading, right? Because the biggest mistake I did, especially for the front lever, is not maxing out enough, like not attempting my actual goal enough. Like I was talking to a friend earlier and he mentioned it, like yeah, it's true, Like the more you want something, the more scared you are to attempt it because you don't want to fail. And that's exactly what I've been doing lately. I've been kind of not, I haven't been maxing out a lot, right? And I'm not talking about maxing out on planche presses and on front lever pull-ups and whatever, right? Obviously, I've been doing that, but on what truly matters, I've not been attempting my goals, which is the biggest mistake. So I'm gonna attempt my goals more often, and I'm gonna keep the training in between more light so that I can, really use it to grow as a basis. Like growing a basis, it takes time. You have to stay away from your max most of the time. And I haven't been doing that because the last couple of weeks have just been maxing out all the time and it's catching up to me. So that's why today was such a failure. But at the same time, it's a good lesson, right? And I've been able to close off this chapter, right? Because there are no questions. I could I kind of knew this was happening on Sunday or even the days before because I was getting more and more tired. But I couldn't stop yet, right? Because let's say I stopped on Saturday, thinking like, oh, I'm tired, I'm just gonna skip all my max attempts. Well, then I'm having the same issue, right? Skipping the max attempts, skipping the goal attempts over and over and over again. That was my issue in the first place. So in order to kind of be able to start a new chapter, well, I would rather, beat myself to shit even more, attempt all of my goals, fail them drastically, right? But then know for sure that that was the problem, and then I can move on, right? I know now for sure I was training too heavy in between goals. I have to train at a lower intensity so that I'm able to attempt my goals at a higher intensity. Because now, I trained at a high intensity, I got tired of shit, and my goals were low intensity because I wasn't able to put out the power. That's basically what I'm trying to say here. But that's the biggest lesson learned. Now, you might be disappointed 5 months and still not a single goal that's been reached. Well, that's how life goes. So, I can think to myself like, oh shit, 5 months and I haven't gotten a single goal yet. Well, there's two options, right? One is to continue, one is to quit. Which one is most likely to get me my goals in the end? And I don't even have to answer that. You know it yourself. But for now, I'm just gonna do a couple light sets because from here on out, I am gonna move the intensity down a bit. I have a family weekend coming up, so no real training or good training is going to happen anyway. Like it's just going to be some filler volume and a light intensity. So yeah, basically, I'm going to take a couple light days until next week, and then we can build back up because don't worry, I am not giving up on the planche goals. So yeah, let's do a couple planche push-up sets. Dank Fucking hell. Where is my power gone? Okie dokie, so once you're overtrained, it's gonna take a while until you're recovered, right? So it can take like a week or even up to 2 weeks, depending on just how bad it is. But does that mean that you have like 1 week of useless life, basically? Like things, like a period you can't do anything? Of course not. So for me, I overtrained. There are some lessons to learn from that. And right now, I'm just going to focus on what I want to do next training block. So next training block, which new accessories do I want to try out? Which new weak spots do I have to hit? And one of those is going to be the ground planche here. So I've been doing the supinated ground planche every now and then, but not really like in a good way, I would say. I've been attempting like the straddle planche and I've been attempting the full planche, but I've not been getting time under tension really. So what I'm gonna do is do tuck planches and advanced tuck planches, on the floor here and basically get my biceps stronger because, a stronger bicep is gonna, I think, lead to a stronger planche in general for me. And basically right now I'm weak as shit. So that's like a good stimulation for when I'm actually tired in the training and then have to do some accessories. So I'm gonna do a couple sets of this and then basically call it a day. But that's still very useful, right? Like I'm gonna gain information on what training I can do in the future. Remember, it's not just training, right? When you listen to Master Roshi from Dragon Ball, right? He says, train hard, study well, and eat and sleep plenty. That's like 4 things, right? And most people, if you're excited about training, you get to train hard, you get it well, right? Maybe a bit too well, like me, And then you have the eat and sleep plenty. I think if you're aware of how hard you have to recover, then you get those down too. But there's also the study well, train hard, study well. This one, right? And that's not just like in the books, but also like in practice, right? Figuring out new things, new accessories that you can use and what their basically their effect will be. So there's always an opportunity to do something. If you can't train hard, well, you can study well. And that's basically what I'm going to do today now in these last couple of sets. So let's get on with it. All right. Yeah, that's gonna hit the biceps quite well. Whew. When you try to move the advanced look, is already getting way harder. So definitely a weak point. Well, I guess today everything is a weak point, but alrighty. So that's gonna be it for today's training, and I think now we can we can have a deserved deload. I mean, I don't really plan my deloads. I just when I'm fucking tired, I take it easy for a couple days, and that's what's gonna happen. But when it comes to today's training, a lot of things were exposed. A lot of lessons were learned, and yeah, right now we just have to take those lessons and use them in the coming training because yes, I failed the attempt today, right? I failed the attempt of front lever 2 days ago, right? Like there's so much stuff that didn't go to plan, but at the same time you can look at it as a failure or you can look at it as an attempt. And to me, this is an attempt. This is another attempt of me aiming for my goal. I fail, but I learn. So I take my notes and basically I can try again next time. So going into coming training, there will be, I think, more volume, but less intensity. And then a couple spikes where I, do like a maximum effort, which will be good for muscle building, but also just to see where I'm at with my goals. And yeah, we're just going to see how that goes. I mean, like I coach some people as well, right? So sometimes I tell my clients that they want too much at once, right? And they do, right? But it's easy to see that from the outside. So from the outside, for me, it's easy to see for other people that they're trying to do too much stuff at the same time. Yet it's kind of hypocritical because at the same time, I'm trying to do this bulk, and then also get 4 strength goals. So that's like 5 goals in total that I'm trying to do. And I think you can get stronger at all of them at the same time, but you have to like kind of choose which one you want to peak at which time. So for me, what I did is like I was training them at the same time, which is fine, but I was also peaking every training at the same time at quite a rapid pace. And then you end up in a situation like this. And it's not the first time, right? We've been bulking for 5 months, and this has happened before, but now I identified it, and I think we will be able to move forward a bit more smoothly. Of course, at some point I'm gonna run into other stuff. Like no one is all knowing, right? Even I think even world champions will, doubt themselves a little bit or have questions on how they should proceed in training. So basically, it's just an adventure that continues, which is what training is all about, right? Training would be fucking I think it would be less exciting if it was finite, if there was like a known natural limit that you could reach, but there's not. Like there's always like a piece to the puzzle that's missing that you can, find, use, and basically get further. So for me, that's where I'm at right now. We're just gonna rest up and try again, and that's all there's to it. I don't need to fucking convey anything with this channel regarding like my training is perfect, right? What I'm trying to convey here is like you can train every day and fucking enjoy it and reach your goals. And today, the goals weren't reached, but that's also like part of the process, Not every time you're gonna fucking make it. But I feel like it comes back to the being scared to try, right? I was scared to try my front lever, I was scared to try my planche, and that's why I didn't do it that much. But when you can try something that you care about without expecting anything in return and being okay with failure, then you're gonna be able to start pushing out all of your power, right? Using all of your power. Because if you're scared to fail, right, naturally your body is gonna hold back. And, you know, yeah, there's a lot of lessons to learn from today. And yeah, the most important one, I think, is to train, train at a lower intensity and attempt more frequently, like directly my goals. So yeah, that's it. Gonna be it for today's training. I'm gonna, holy shit, my belly is cramping, which it has been for the past couple of days. I've had like spasms in my body everywhere, which I guess that's a sign of overtraining as well. But yeah, I'm gonna have a shower, have some breakfast, and see you tomorrow for another training. So that's it.